You know, with so many things that are going from left to right, front to back, top to bottom, things in life, I mean, we're running from this place to that place, from this place to that place. We're doing all of these things, and really, we're not really sure right now what really is important to us and what's important to God. So what are the things that need to be important to me? I can see some things, I suppose, because you just kind of become like a person that's playing whack-a-demon through life, and you just whacking down every problem that seems to be able to rear up its ugly head. But yet, how about getting in front of these problems, getting in front of the things that want to harm us, detour us, take us off center, and kind of have us jump the track? What about all of those kind of things? So here are just, really a few important things, and the things that really need to be important to us. Let me remind you, fellowship for you is really, really important. And we do that by our Zoom groups. If you're not part of a Zoom group, I want you to become part of that group. I know that that part of your life will straighten out so many other parts of your life when you become part of that group. So what are these things that I need to have as important in my life? The first thing in my life is that faith is important. Because faith is a perspective. Faith is kind of the way that you look at things. Faith really has to do with what is your rock, what is your center, what's your core in life. What are those things? And faith just so happens to be the thing that is important. Faith in God, faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, faith in that all things work together for good to them who love God. Faith is really important. Now, 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse number 7 says, "For we walk by faith." That means that I live my life there. I actually live every moment of my being is lived in faith. It's not lived by sight. I don't allow myself to lose any sleep over the issues of life, for I walk by faith and not by sight. I walk by what God says, and I don't walk by what I'm seeing going on in the situations and circumstances of the world, of our nation, of our state, of our city, or, oh my gosh, what are we going to do because our municipality, they won't allow us to be able to meet together. Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. No. I walk by faith and not by sight. I trust God and His Word. The Bible tells us in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse number 4, he said, the proud soul is not upright within him. He said, but the just shall live by his faith. The soul of the unjust is not upright inside of him, but the just shall live by faith. Now, we also know, because what we want to do is we want to build a foundation of faith in our lives. We know in Romans chapter 1, verse number 17, says, "For in it," speaking of the gospel, "the righteousness of God is revealed from faith to faith, as it is written." Now the foundation's coming down. As it is written, the just shall live by faith. Now that means, although things are going on in my life, although things are pointing in a direction that I don't want them to point in, yet at the same time, I walk by what God says, not by what I see in life. I don't do that. In the book of Galatians, chapter 3, verse number 11, it says that here that no one is justified by doing good things in the sight of God. That's evident. He said, for the just, once again, the just will live by what? Faith. Now, Hebrews chapter 10, verse 38, pretty much says somewhat of the same thing. He said, now the just shall live by faith, but if anyone draws back, God's soul will have no pleasure in him. Because the just will live by faith. That just will live by faith. But if you draw back, you can't really bring pleasure to God. So what is it that you believe? What do you believe? Because the just shall live by faith, not by circumstances. The just shall live by faith, not by the things that he says, because the just shall live by faith. In Matthew chapter 8, verse number 13, Jesus speaking to the centurion, where he said that he had not found such great faith, no, not in all of Israel. He said in verse 13, he said, now, centurion, he said, now go your way, because, and as you have believed, so shall it be done to you. And his servant was healed that very same hour. He said, now go as you have believed. As you have believed. What do you believe? Mark chapter 9, Jesus was speaking in verse 23. He said this. He said, now, honestly, he said, if you can believe. Speaking to Jairus. He said, now, if you can believe, he said, all things are possible to him that believes. Everything is possible to him that believes. You see, so remember, believing makes all things possible, but it's only faith that makes those things a reality.